this is how powerful this conversation is. Here you have me representing a service provider, a team of folks who can prepare your taxes. Then on the other side, you have an actual person representing a bank, a black bank that also knows exactly what you need. And where there are shortcomings, I don't know if y'all heard that, where there are shortcomings, she's able to connect into those shortcomings. Basically, all I'm saying is with her and me on your table, I mean,
you
I
can't
don't
lose.
know. That's... Between May 2020 and December 2021, I have secured $8,121,009.35 in legitimate funding for Black and minority-owned businesses. My name is Taliba Bells, and I'm the host of the Black and Bankable podcast. Effective immediately, I am coming for more for the community. Hello and welcome to the Black and Bankable podcast. I am Taliba Bells, your host, and this, my friends, is the kickoff to the Black and Bankable CEO conversations. This project here is so near and dear to my heart, but I promise you, it's going to keep you locked in. This is going to be my first CEO conversation, but this episode, y'all get really like a bonus, because not only is my guest today a CEO, her and her husband, okay, but she also is the vice president. Okay, hear that? Check this out now. If you're looking at the screen too, or if you're audio, let me call it out. She is the vice president of business development and community relations for Citizens Savings Bank and Trust, which is a Black bank. We had to kick it off with this. A CEO and a VP of a Black bank. Y'all know I had to deliver this. And I didn't even realize it. So it's like double bonus. So, okay, y'all, I'm so excited. Y'all know I could get off script. And I have some goodies. We are going to be talking about some really, really powerful stuff that's going to help you grow your business. We're going to be vulnerable today. You know what I mean? We're going to be answering some questions. And like I said, I know those gems are going to help you empower your business. I want you to pick them all up today. You know me. I want you to get your pen and paper out, or just keep hitting replay, whatever it is. Share it with your folks, because we are locking in. This is the first series, again, of the Black and Bankable CEO conversations. Now, I also got to reel myself in. I already gave her the heads up, but I just got to do it. Those of y'all that know me, y'all know I'm a super Delta, right? And so I just had to show some favoritism and make this CEO conversation kick off with one of my sorors. So I gotta introduce her first as that, and this is Mrs. Kandace Harris. Kandace, are you ready?
Yes, Sarah. I'm ready.
That's right. you know we got to act up. So if we say that we're Deltas, we got to say Alpha Beta chapter of Fisk University in Nashville, Tennessee. Okay. Y'all know how that go. We had to do it. All right. So we're going to hop right into this, but I want to set the pace, right? I want to let the audience know, why in the heck is Taliba doing a Black and Bankable CEO conversation? Like, why are we starting this series? And so I want to give y'all just a little bit of background on why. And it's simple. Because the way that you learn stuff is by information being unlocked and provided to you. You may have heard of the term gatekeeper, or you may feel that you got to jump to way too many hurdles to get exactly what you need to make your business successful. And the Black and Bankable podcast is not about that at all. We unlocking all the access to everything that you need to, if you're thinking about starting a business, if you're currently running a business, if you're about to create another business, whatever it is, the Black and Bankable podcast is here to help you get your financial paperwork in order when it comes to taxes, when it comes to bookkeeping, when it comes to applying with Kandace for a business loan, when it comes to just simply understanding what the heck is going on. We're here for you. We're here for you. So, of course, the best way to do that is to get real business owners on, real people from across the U.S. to come on this show, unscripted, and we're going to talk about it. How else can we unlock that access for you? How else can we get to what you need to get to, and that's the money, by getting your financial paperwork in order, than for us to just simply have a conversation? So this is nationwide. All right, y'all. You know I got to, because I'll be on here for an hour, and Candace will be like,
You got me excited.
I am just pumped to kick it off. So, Kandace, we're going to hop right into the questions, and then I'm, of course, going to make sure that the people know exactly, like, not only just because you're a Delta, not only just because you're a VP of a Black bank, but I want people to know all the gems that you have and you've learned along your journey, and share them. So, we are going to kick it off with, let's go with, what role do you think entrepreneurship, Black entrepreneurship, plays in our communities?
So I like this question because it reminds me of when someone's really good at a sport and they make it out of a small town. It's like, oh, we believe if one can make it, then I can make it, you know? And unfortunately, in the Black community, if you're a rapper or if you play ball, those are the ways out. But we don't think about entrepreneurship. We actually get scared talking about it. It's like, you need to go to school. You need to get a job. We're literally indoctrinated to work for others instead of thinking of working for ourselves. And a lot of that is fear. A lot of that is also the fact that we just merely don't have the resources. So it is scary to start on our own. But I think the role that it plays is true freedom. And when one of us makes it, it's, each one teach one. Reach back, grab someone else. It's funny because I always say that whatever I find that my daughter naturally is just inclined to, I'm going to invest all the way in it. I'm all about education. But if there's just something that's a gift, if there's something that she's passionate about, oh yeah, we're going to hone in on it. So I think what it serves is a sign of freedom, a sign of hope. But it can also be a daunting task. It can also it can seem more challenging than working an satisfying job. And it's like, no, if you're going to struggle for something, why not struggle for it for yourself?
Absolutely. And then also what I hear is your daughter. So let's talk about that. Black businesses and entrepreneurship also creates legacies. That's what I heard you say also is, we're starting our business and we're growing to a point where we're creating jobs. But most importantly, just as you said, because we have opened that door, bust through it. However, now our children, or other younger folks in our families have that model to step up and step into what we've created. And that's, oh my goodness.
Exactly. Like one of my gifts to her, other than what I'm going to pour into her as a mother, is freedom. If I can give her freedom of choice, girl, go do a gap year. You don't hear about gap years in the Black community.
Right.
No, you go to school. But I mean, if I can grant her freedom, I mean, that is one of the biggest gifts that I would love for her to have.
Okay. All right. So let's get into some challenges. Let's get into some realities. I would like for you to share a challenge that you may have experienced. And I know because we have you not only as a CEO, you and your husband as business owners, but then also as a VP of a Black bank. So feel free to talk about it double-sidedly.
Yeah.
But I want you to address any specific challenges that you experienced when it comes to the pandemic. What were some of the things that you experienced and that you saw?
Oh, listen, that's a that's another conversation, but let me hone it in on this one. So I didn't have a business until the pandemic. I feel like the pandemic literally pushed people out of their comfort zones. I gave my power to the people I worked for, when in
Mm,
fact they hired me because I am myself a brand. And
okay.
so I am a business.
Okay.
Okay.
Exactly.
And so with that, I think the birth of harrissquare.net came as I'm talking to my husband, and he has natural talents in the field of web design and
Okay.
social media. And I have natural talents of literally, I didn't see a talent in until my husband was like, no, Candace, you make people feel comfortable talking about money. That is a major gift because we're,
Absolutely.
especially in our community, we're quiet as kept.
Right.
We're not
Right.
sitting around at Thanksgiving talking about, okay, what's your salary this year? What can you invest in our susu this year as a family so that we
Mm.
can get, little Tommy this. Like, we don't talk about these things,
Mhm. Mhm.
which means we're also not talking about where we failed. So not only
Mm.
are we not talking about where we failed, but we're repeating it in silence.
Mm. Why do you think that? Why do you think that we keep that so close to the chest? Because
Because
that's cultural,
money
you
is
know?
personal. We feel judged. We
Mm.
live in a culture where we rather look like money than actually have it.
Girl,
Um,
wait a minute.
and I'm
Okay.
preaching to myself. Like, this isn't a point. This is, I know because I've been there. Like,
Yeah.
I'm living through some of these things, especially as a millennial, where now, like, first it was Facebook, now it's Instagram, and it's like, to be a model on Instagram, to see the things that people have make
Mhm.
you feel like
Mhm.
you're behind, and it's like,
Mhm.
what are we doing to try to make it look like, instead of actually having?
Mm.
And so, because of those generational, and a lot of it goes back to just, I mean, I'm from Montgomery, Alabama, so I can get really into the root of it.
Mhm.
Talking about money just isn't something our culture does.
Mhm.
And until we start getting comfortable being transparent in our journeys, not not being transparent once we made it, once it looks
Mm.
good, being
Mhm.
transparent in the thick of it, and then showing people how you're getting out. That's literally where I am now.
And the thing of it, what I get is that culturally, because obviously Birmingham, Alabama, so we could talk about it from being black in the deep South, but there's this thing. I'm sure somebody will watch this and pinpoint like an exact psychological thing, but
Sure.
like there's this thing where we're raised to make it happen
Hmm.
no matter what. So you got
Yeah.
people suffering in silence. But baby, we getting up every day, and mom and dad or grandma or whoever is the responsible guardian is making it happen with what it happened.
Yeah.
And that works because it produces millionaires, it produces teachers, it produces, like, it works. But the baggage of that is that well, what happens when your circle is so small that you don't even have all the tools to make it work smarter, to make it work, to just
Smarter.
like you say, to okay, look, let's expand this make it work syndrome, because I want you to have that grit, I need you to have that
For
grit,
sure.
I need to have that grit. But we need to think about this on a much smarter basis. We need to be talking about these tools here
Hmm.
that's going to make your everyday get up and work, or decide to operate a business, something that you're working smarter and harder. So your 100% is actually 1,000%, because now you've matched it with information.
Listen, okay, so I'm going to address what you just said and tie it back to the pandemic conversation, because
Okay.
this is full circle.
Yes.
So, the average net worth of a Black household is around $17,000,
Mm,
compared to 170 of a white household.
wow.
If we keep trying to play catch up on our own, we're never going to get there.
Okay.
I am a strong advocate for group economics, but we so scared. We'll go
Mm-hmm.
do something crazy with our money with someone else, but we won't do it with each other.
Mm-hmm.
I am on a mission to break that. That's
Okay.
number one.
Okay.
Number two, I have been the. Are you familiar with a susu?
Mm-mm.
So it
School me,
is
baby.
not okay. So it is not that lotus flower situation that came up during the pandemic where everybody was like, if you put in $50 and
Mm,
bring on two people, no, not that. Let's be
okay.
very clear. So susu is a and those that are watching, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's a West African tradition
Okay.
where if somebody needed to go to school, the whole family pitched in. And then when it was your time to pull from the pot, you
Mm.
got what everybody put in. So
Okay.
you're not putting in or getting out more than what you put in. So
Okay.
that's the difference between that what they call the lotus flower, because the lotus
Okay.
flower required you to put in money, wait, and you could never transition to the next phase of getting to the pot until you pull to other people, because
Okay.
that's literally a pyramid scheme. Because you
Sounds
can
like.
so change that flower into a pyramid scheme, because that's what it is. Because someone's always going to be at the bottom.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So I've been the banker over at Susu for a few years now, with a collective of Black women. And
Okay.
what essentially did was showed us that I hear all the time, I can't save, I can't save. No, you've never been accountable to save.
Okay.
And so when you're accountable to, my group was a group of 10 women. We
Okay.
saved $250 every 2 weeks.
Okay.
And then at the end of the month, somebody got that $5,000 pot.
Okay. Okay.
So, and what that does, it accelerates your savings. So let's say my birthday is January 24th.
Uh-huh.
I was the first to get the pot. So I get $5,000 before I was able to save $5,000. That
Gotcha.
accelerated what I was able to do. And so,
Mm-hmm.
and it circulated throughout the group. I, I was so happy to see that it successfully worked for over 2 years.
Okay.
Nobody missed a payment. I didn't have any like when I tell you, and it was the accountability piece.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it was also because it worked for people. People were
Mm.
very much grateful for the system that we created for
Yeah.
each other.
Yeah.
And so I am a big proponent of group economics. So let's go
Okay.
back to the pandemic.
Yeah.
That saved me during the pandemic because I was actually laid off from my job, postpartum,
Mm.
laid off, and worried.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
But
Yes.
that group economics that I had with my group
Mm-hmm.
literally helped me so much. And so I'm thinking, what else could we apply that to?
Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because we are on the hamster wheel trying to play catch up. And so I say
So
all that to say, literally, the pandemic threw people, but it threw people off. It closed a lot of businesses, but it also inspired a lot of people.
it absolutely did. It absolutely did. I mean, just as you've identified, your situation was I'm sure so stress causing. At the time you just had your daughter, and
Mhm.
then of course I know most of the backstory, but
Yes.
again, just having to be forced to pivot. But then I also hear that because you were already a part of the group, that it absolutely balanced it. And I think that that's where a lot of business owners, brand new business owners, found themselves during the pandemic, was either they were laid off, either, as parents, we had to make the tough decisions like, so who gonna stay home? You know what I mean? Because
Yep.
that's one thing that I still talk about, even with my children, is when the school decides to close or there's a COVID outbreak or whatever the case may be, especially during the thick of the times, someone had to have a flexible schedule to be home when schools close.
Yep.
And I personally think that that's why a lot of people dropped out of the market, especially those with kids, was they
Yep.
dropped out of the market because it actually was cheaper for them to be at home in the
Hmm.
in the uncertainty of what the heck the schools were going to do.
Yep.
And then again, when you go back to that concept of homes just kind of pulling in and circling arms around each other, and it's like, this is what we're going to do, and
Yes.
then it worked. People are like, oh wait, so I stayed home during the pandemic, took care of the kids, and we still made that budget work. Now people are like, so therefore I'm starting my own business. Just like you said, what
Yes.
I'm naturally inclined to. You had a lot of people naturally inclined to do stuff. They're like, I'm going to start a business. And
Yep.
let's not forget the gig economy, where like everything is, hey, let's deliver it to your house, let's deliver it to your office. Who
Yes.
are the people that are going to be driving those vehicles? People dropped out of the market due to being forced and having to improvise. And now those are the challenge, those, it was
Yeah.
a challenge, but most people had to find that as an opportunity,
Exactly.
you
Pushed
know.
into, I feel like we were pushed into purpose. That literally was what
Uh,
COVID did. Eyes wide open.
yes, yes. So now I kind of want to switch over, and I want the audience to get a taste of and a teaser of how your position with the bank, how really just how all that folds into what you're doing now for business owners, for the bank in your position. And so particularly under the context of Black business owners, and now that we've identified people were forced or pushing the purpose, whatever you want to say, we're here, we have started businesses, but then we got these challenges to getting the money. You know what I'm saying? Then
Yes.
we're like, well, we know that it's a good idea. We
Yeah.
we we know that we saved money. We know that there's opportunities in the gig economy. We know all these things. We're making it work, but then we're like, but it's not a W-2 job. I'm not getting paid every week or 2 weeks or
Mm,
every month. You know, how do we get this steady cash flow going? So I want you to
yeah.
talk about some of those challenges, some of those things that exist, within this world that we live in, because we know it, right? But I want to talk about this because number one, for some reason, most like if you're not living it, most people don't believe that this exists. Like, oh, well, it
Mhm.
must be just because you have bad credit, or but
Oh no.
you know what I'm saying? It's like,
Hmm.
let's talk about the real challenges that exist when it comes to being a small business owner, and especially being, a woman-owned business, a Black-owned business. Let's talk about those challenges. And I want to know, you know what I mean, how you and your position at the bank are trying to address it and help people overcome it.
Yes. So I'm very transparent with my clients.
Yeah.
So I'm usually the first thing I say is most times the visionary is not the person that carries
Mm.
you over the threshold. You got the vision. That doesn't necessarily mean you're good in the business, but not at the business.
Mm-hmm.
So number one, you got to create a team. There's no cheap way. There's no cheat code around that. You got to create your team. Now, you might not be able to afford the team you want, so you have to do certain things and be resourceful. But don't cut corners when you do have an opportunity. That's
Mm-hmm.
one of my first things that I say.
Yeah.
So if it's a CPA you need, go ahead
Mm-hmm.
and invest in your CPA because
Mm-hmm.
that's going to be valuable so that you don't have mistakes.
Exactly.
But just on the bank side, a lot of times we don't have our documents in order. So then we've been in the business for a while, but we don't
Mm-hmm.
have any proof of what
Okay.
we've done.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And so and it's almost like building credit. There is no replacement for time.
Yeah.
You can't replace it. So if
The
you
time
yeah,
is captured on the document.
uh-huh,
You know what I mean? Now you could have off the books, you could have made $500,000,
had a great
and
year.
you're believing that those stats, you proud of yourself. Those stats are going to help you get somebody's money out of this bank or qualify for this home
Yeah.
that you've been searching for. And then when it's time to produce that paperwork, it don't say $500,000.
Nope. Nope. Or because you co-mingled your funds.
Mm,
That's easy to do, such as a sole prop
it
or a
is.
small. I mean, and no shaming, but I see it. So I
Correct.
see it all the time.
Correct. And so let's talk about that because of course in the services that TNB Tax and Financial Services provides, we do see that all the time. And just like you say, and y'all know, this is absolutely not wagging the finger.
Mm-mm.
This is being vulnerable. Let's put it out, unswaddle the baby. Tell me what's going on
Mhm.
so that we can now get you in alignment. Because just like you said, as a sole proprietor, single member LLC, you'd be surprised. Even some corporations don't have their stuff together.
Mhm.
But the thing of it is, you got to go into this thing believing that I want to make sure that I am proactively ready because at some point I'm going to need to unswaddle this baby, whether it be for a home, whether it be for a credit card, whatever the case may be. And so it is simple. It is, get yourself into a position to open a business checking account,
Yes. Yep.
you know,
And so
and
I try to
go
tell
ahead.
them also, like, if you're going to pay yourself, write yourself a check.
Mm,
It's documented. Write
correct.
yourself a check and then put it in your personal account. Just don't do a
Yes.
transfer.
Yes.
And as simple as that is to roll off and say to do, most people
Yeah.
wouldn't even think, well, why would I do that? Well, one, you created documentation and you're
Right.
going to look back months from now and see that transfer. And
Yeah.
you're like, what did I do that for? Was
Yeah.
it for a
Yeah.
purchase? Was I
Yeah.
paying myself? And then that way you can actually pull those check histories
Hmm.
and say, well,
Hmm.
I actually paid myself. And then you can show you paid yourself and that's income. That's an easy way to do it if you don't have like a system in place,
Exactly.
like just something easy as that.
Exactly, exactly. And the other thing that came across my mind when it comes to these things that we're talking about in our conversation series, and going back to what we were saying about we're just so just naturally let's make it work. So therefore we just plow ahead without even asking. These are conversations that some people never hear.
Yes.
They may not be in an environment where someone just says, hey, open a business checking account. And let me tell you, and of course, please speak to this from, obviously from your being a banking professional for as long as you have. But these are federal guidelines that when you form your business, okay, that the bank is going to, be asking for documentation of your EIN, formation of your business, and maybe some other ancillary documents, but that's what you need to start a business checking account. These are federal guidelines. So if you
Yeah.
go to a bank and they're asking you for, everything but, like
A
you're
blood
feeling
sample.
it. Right. Right. Or like,
Yeah.
you're in, that's how it works.
Yeah, we're not
That,
giving you a hard time, I promise. It's literally documents that have to be on file because when the bank gets audited, we
hmm
have to be able to show that we legally open this account with your authorization. And the way we do
Absolutely.
so is with these documents. So
Yes.
trust me, I promise you, we're not just making it tough on you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I want to talk about y'all. I want to talk about the history of Citizen Savings Bank and Trust because, a lot of time, well, I don't know. Do you know how many black banks exist now? I feel
So,
like,
it's actually decreased.
okay.
Not surprising, it has decreased. And I actually took a screenshot, and I need to make myself familiar with how many there are. But
Yeah.
there are literally just a
Uh-huh.
handful of a
Hmm.
few
Hmm.
that we have.
Hmm.
We've lasted a dying breed. And what's so crazy is black banks were a response to
Hmm.
how we were being mistreated at other
Mm,
banks, and
mm.
now we begging, come on
Yeah.
back. Now get it. I get it. There are things that may be missing.
Hmm.
Black banking has become more of a trend and not a way of life, and that's something
Okay.
else that I want to change.
Okay.
However, I want people to realize that when you bank black, it's already mission driven because that
Mm.
money, one, we don't have the same box to put you in that regional banks do. We're
Okay.
able to lend in different ways. The relationship is different. Then the other piece of that is when you deposit your money with us, that money goes right back into our community.
Mm.
And we can
Hmm.
focus that way legally. We
Hmm.
can have that focus to lend to minority, African American, black
Hmm.
and brown folks.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
And we do it because that's what we're charged to do, whereas others do it because it's an initiative on their bottom line or they've set some money. And it's no shade. I get it.
Hmm.
It's great for
Hmm.
business. You got CRA, you have things like
Right.
that in
Hmm.
place.
Hmm. Hmm.
But that's what a black bank was established to do. And
Hmm.
I just find it interesting that it's become more trendy and not, you know what? I know that I might have to sacrifice a few things over here, but let me just I got to put some money over here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So give me some of the history of Citizen Savings Bank and Trust.
Sure. So I'm a baby at the bank. I'm coming up on a year being at Citizen Savings Bank and Trust. My mentor who hired me, Jeff Magruder, is really considering what we're doing at Citizens a renaissance. It's
Okay.
truly a rebirth.
Okay.
Because, like I said, most people have had to sacrifice when it comes to banking because we don't have a branch on every block. And we also don't have a branch on every block because your deposit's not with us. So the more
Exactly.
so
Yeah.
the more people that bank with us, the more resources we have, and then it's just a cycle. But
Hmm.
the bank started in 1904,
Okay.
and it was in response to a lot of the black banks were in response to a lot of the redlining that
Hmm.
was going on, especially, and the wealth gap was created because of that, and
Hmm.
it started with the housing market
Hmm.
where we weren't able to get houses in some of these places. It was a trickle down effect of what happened to the black families in our wealth,
Hmm. Hmm.
because it
Hmm.
all kind of comes down to real estate. And
Yeah.
there's a book about I do not want to mess up her name, but it's a book called The Color of Money.
Okay.
She's been going on these podcasts, she's been educating, and she didn't initially start writing this book in this way, but all of her documentation kind of led to, okay, something. something happened during this
Okay.
time.
Okay.
So just a plug for the Color of Money. Look her up. But Citizen Savings Bank and Trust started, and we are in Memphis and Nashville. We are 118 years old, and we are Nashville based,
Okay.
but we do have a branch in Memphis. And
Mm-hmm.
the bank is in a renaissance right now. We are at the point where we are having a capital push. We had one of the best years we've ever had last year that the bank
Okay.
has had since its inception. So
Okay.
I am hopeful, and I know that the trend of black banking will soon be the way it needs to be
Absolutely.
because we're going to be able to actually meet your needs. We'll have the digital and the tech side of it, and the personal touch, the customer service, all of that. And so I'm very excited and then for it to be happening in Nashville, which a lot of people,
Mm-hmm.
might have it associated with honky tonk, but Music City comes from the Jubilee Singers right
Mm,
at Fisk University.
that's
And
right.
so I'm just happy to see what's happening because a lot of gentrification is happening, but we're not
Mm-hmm.
able to participate in it because one, we just wasn't ready, or we just didn't have the knowledge or the
Mm-hmm.
resources. And citizens didn't do a really good job of tooting their own horn. We were grinding it out. We were the yes in the room full of no's for a lot of entrepreneurs, but
Mm-hmm.
we didn't talk about it.
Okay.
We gave silently, we loaned silently, we supported silently. But I think now was the time
Mm.
where it's just time that the banks kind of step up in their rightful place, especially for us being the oldest African American black bank, in the
Yeah.
US.
Well, the Black and Bankable podcast is certainly going. We're here. We are here, and that's why I was extremely excited to learn
Hmm.
of this because I just wanted you on the show. Obviously, like I said, because I'm selfish and you're a soror, and I know you and your husband are doing wonderful things as business owners. You're a client, but again, to be able to feature one of the oldest black banks in the United States on this podcast is extremely exciting for me. And so my call to action to the audience is lock it in, stay in touch with this podcast because hey, I could just text Kandace. And as soon as she tells me that Citizens Bank and Trust is doing Savings Bank and Trust is doing this,
Yep.
I'm posting it.
Oh, I love
We'll
that.
have y'all back on to the show. I mean,
I
let's
would
do it.
love
Let's
that.
include us in the capital campaign, okay? So that we can get
Absolutely.
the word out. Because one of the things that you were saying, as far as like that it's trending,
Mm,
and so I get the feeling from you that you believe like it's just a temporary thing. And we don't, I mean, to do things because it's trending or it's popular,
yeah.
is something that means you're just doing it because it's right there in your face. Like, but this is a commitment to empowering your community.
Yeah. It's literally put your money where your mouth is.
Ugh.
That's really what it's about.
Literally. And so when you guys in your capital campaigns, when you get to the point of being able to facilitate those online accounts,
Yes.
of course, this is a nationwide show, and we are absolutely going to have that call to action and that
I
let's
love
put
that.
our money where our mouth is,
Yeah.
so that we can, again, not just talk about it, but be about it. Because y'all know that is my motto.
Hmm.
I formed this podcast for the purpose of talking, for the purpose of sharing the information. But I'm also, when I'm off the podcast, up here working. Do you understand? I
I
have a
know you
team
are.
of folks. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, yeah, I could be the talk, I could be the face. But when it's time to roll up the sleeves and make something
Hmm.
happen, that's what people need.
Get it
Is
done.
someone who is going to keep that ball moving forward. And one thing that I want to, in going back to those challenges and going back to the fact that, that black banks are black people, so they used to working with black business owners. Do you have a scenario or even tips, but a scenario in which, there was a business owner that needed funding and you guys were able to help facilitate that? Like, talk to me about, what a black business owner's experience may be in working with the bank.
So I'll speak to when I was on the regional side of banking, working for a bank that's on every corner.
Mm,
If it made sense, I mean, truly, like the business owner has been banking with the bank for so long. We see the amount of money they bring in.
Mm-hmm.
We also see a contract where all they need is the cash flow to meet the
Mm-hmm.
contract,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't have the check marks for the box,
Mm-hmm.
and we
Mm-hmm.
can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
However, at Citizens, it's more of a conversation. It's like, okay, there are required documents, and it's funny that you asked about resources. I just created a like a cheat code for businesses on how to become bankable. That is
Oh,
on my website, so I'll plug that.
that's right.
Um, so if you go to harrissquared.net and click finance, that's HARRIS squared SQUARED.net. You
Mm-hmm.
will find a cheat, like a downloadable cheat sheet. And one of those items on the cheat sheet speaks to the documents that you should have. So
Okay.
this person didn't necessarily have 2 years tax returns. You know, we talked about that earlier.
Mm-hmm.
However, they worked a full-time job, so they did have a W-2.
Mm-hmm.
And so that gave us a little flexibility. So although I didn't have 2 years, I had 1 year that looked promising, and then
Okay.
I had a very strongly employed guarantor. And let
Okay.
me speak to that. As a small business owner, nobody's going to give you capital that they haven't seen you put any skin in the game yourself.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
And I'm giving you the real bank perspective. You
Okay.
know,
Mm-hmm.
especially if you don't have everything you need. We
Mm-hmm.
we would like to see, well, how's your credit? Because you have to guarantee your business until your business can carry its own credit and
Exactly.
carry its
Mm-hmm.
own debt.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So also make sure that you apply for your DUNS number. I know we
Mm-hmm.
think about, the other two primary,
Mm-hmm.
TransUnion, Equifax,
Mm-hmm.
Experian, but make sure you get your DUNS number as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But until your business is an adult,
Mm-hmm.
you have to guarantee your own business,
I
which
like
means
that.
your credit has to be A1.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
so a lot of people are shocked by that. They just think, oh, I got a business idea, I got a business plan, I got my docs, I got a few things. Y'all can give me some money, right? And I'm like, no, not
Yeah.
yet. What did you
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
skin in the game do you have? So yeah, check out that quick reference guide. It has docs for lending, also for docs for opening an account, and then I do this
Okay.
thing where it's called know your ratios,
Okay.
because a lot of, and I won't say a lot, I don't want to generalize, but I know that in banking there's a lot of people in seats who are just order takers. They
Mm.
can't really advise you. They'll tell you what you need, and then they're passing it on to someone else who's making a decision.
Okay.
But what I have found to be helpful is if I already can look at your tax return and see some strengths and tell you where your strengths are, but then also say, hey, this looks like a little weakness here. I know
Mm-hmm.
you wrote off a lot here, but if you know that you have a lending need in the near future, you don't want to write off a lot, because then you're going to show that you're not profitable, and we know you are. Okay.
Now hold on now, cause see,
Look, I'm
I know
stepping in
some
your
of my
lane.
clients.
I'm
I said,
stepping in
I'm
your
like,
lane.
oh, here she goes. I'm not. See, somebody else said it, and I
Yeah.
didn't say it,
I stepped
but
in your lane for a quick hot second, because it's true. Because as a business owner, we want to be smart and not have to pay a whole bunch of taxes. But when we
Mhm.
feel that there's and that's what forecasting is good for,
Mm,
right?
mm, mm, mm.
So
I'm
if you're
feeling a workshop, a clinic.
is that what you're
Feeling,
feeling?
I'm feeling what I'm feeling that we need to. You know what? See, this is what unscripted.
Yeah, because
This
we
is
live it
what
every day. We live
yes.
it every day, and it seems normal to us. But the
Mhm.
more and more I talk to folks, they like, and it's so funny because I downplay. Well, I don't really got nothing to say, but then I start talking, and they're like, "Wait a minute, hold on, what?" And I'm like, "Okay, so I can bring something to the table."
Absolutely. Are you kidding me? Absolutely not. Let's pull this out. Let's pull this out because now this has come about. We've identified this conversation right here is now it's going to be memorialized. So when Citizens Savings Bank and Trust is in honey Alabama, y'all
Doing this
better give me some
convention.
credit. No, I'm just joking. but for real, this is so powerful.
Hmm.
This cannot go just we got to state it again.
Yes.
Here you have this is how powerful this conversation is. Here you have me representing a service provider, a team of folks who can prepare your taxes,
Mm-hmm.
who can get your bookkeeping and accounting in order, produce those financial documents,
Mm-hmm.
who can help you package your loan. Candace, talk about ratios. Like, we've been in the game 15 plus years, plus we have a staff over 70 years of experience when it comes to all these different things. Then on the other side, you have an actual person representing a bank, a black bank, that also knows exactly what you need,
Mm-hmm.
and where there are shortcomings. I don't know if y'all heard that. Where there are shortcomings, she's able to connect into those shortcomings. Basically, all I'm saying is, with her and me on your table, I mean,
You
I
can't
don't
lose.
know. That's basically, because I use too many words. You know what I mean? But honestly, this conversation specifically with
Mm-hmm.
you, Candace, is certainly going to spin off into, maybe some live podcasts
Yeah.
on YouTube. But certainly, you guys know that I have a Facebook group, and I also use Mighty Networks. And y'all know that my favorite thing is connecting people to the money. And we got the money right here. We literally have the money, and a black girl. Honey, we're
It's all
done.
aligned. It's all aligned. But can you imagine, like, we have empowered a business owner so much that when they go to the bank, they already know that they're qualified for the loan that they're requesting. So that takes the guesswork out of it.
Come
You're
on
not
now.
you're not just hoping on a wing and a prayer that you get approved.
Oh no. We're eliminating the fear, because there's a statistic. I don't have the exact number, but what I know is that a lot of folks do not apply for loans out of fear of being
Oh yeah.
denied.
Oh, and let's apply another
Mm.
thing. They don't check their credit because they're scared to look at it and to have
We
to
ain't got
actually do
time. I
something.
ain't got time for them problems. I ain't got time for. I don't want to look. I ain't got time for them problems. I don't want to
Yeah.
apply for nothing. And
Yeah.
so again, you sitting over there suffering in silence, trying to run your business. You know what I mean? And you don't even have to,
No.
because
And
we're right here. We're trying to unlock, tear
yeah,
tear down all of that.
I'll give
We're
you
trying
I'll
to tear
give
down
you
all of
I'll
that.
give you the most simplest ratio that can tell you right now if you're ready. The debt service ratio.
Yes,
Do you have cash flow to cover the debt you say you need?
exactly,
And if you
exactly.
have 1 year tax return, I challenge anybody to go do that. Go download my downloadable, my little
That's
cheat
right.
sheet.
Let's
It's
go.
called it's called service debt ratio, and
Hmm.
it's just where you take your cash flow plus your interest expense,
Hmm.
and you subtract your income, non-recurring income, and then you
Hmm.
just take
Hmm.
a look at what you and at all your expenses, and you just subtract it. Do you have money to pay for the debt you want?
That you're asking.
And I'll give you
Mhm.
another hint. Most banks won't tell you this. Most banks want you to have a 1-to-1, meaning you have a dollar for every amount of dollar of debt you say you can handle
At the bare minimum.
at the minimum.
At the bare minimum.
And
At the
so
bare
yeah,
minimum.
so if you
Mhm.
know that, you're 10 steps ahead.
Ooh, girl.
Yeah, there's all kind
And
of things.
this is from a vice president of business development. This is from a black bank.
But let
This
me
is from.
tell you, most places will not empower you in this way. They
Mm,
won't tell you these things up front. They'll take your application, ask for your EIN and social, and be glad that they got to meet a quota for a
okay,
loan
okay, okay.
to input it, and hopefully it gets approved.
And that's the thing with this conversation. We're not going to hope in a prayer. You know what I'm saying?
No,
We're going to have a strategy.
yeah,
You got tools, tools, tools. But let me tell you something, and this is what I have to say for real when it comes to, the fact that Candace has given us her time today to share these gems, as well as, us recording this podcast. The call to arms is for people that are ready to.
yeah.
Right? You got to be ready to roll up those sleeves, because and Candace hinted to it at the beginning, in the sense of investing in yourself and building out your team and so forth and so on. Because let me tell you, no one's going to hand you anything. Now, we done handed you these gems, but you have to pick them up and apply them. You have got to lock it in and be committed to executing this strategy so that you can get to this money that this bank is trying to give you. And let me say this and pop it out, and we'll wrap it up. as being on the front lines with business owners, like you guys know, when it comes to the federal resources of the COVID Small Business Disaster Recovery, PPP, EIDL, as you guys might know, obviously the recent appropriations bills have been approved. Let me tell you something, and I've been saying this for a while now. Okay. You know what the picture looks like for businesses when it comes to help from the federal government? Loans.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something, it's not no knock to the federal government, right? It's only so much grant and free money you can get.
Mm-hmm.
So the picture of it looks like a loan. But let me tell you something. That is not to say that you're out of the game. What we're trying to do in this whole conversation is say, hey, if 11 trillion has been appropriated for 7A and 504 SBA loans, oh, we're trying to get you to that right now.
Yeah.
These conversations that we're talking, let's bust the myth that Black businesses cannot qualify for loans. Let's bust
Yeah.
the myth that SBA loans are the most difficult to get, because what we're talking about in this conversation, in this series, is that's a lie.
Yeah.
You can absolutely qualify those loans, but you gotta pick up these gems that we're dropping for free on this podcast and execute it in a strategy. Build out your team with someone who's not just trying to make it look good.
Yeah.
Oh, we out here working over here.
Yeah.
That can speak to you from experience. Kandace is speaking to you from her job. People are out here really, really dedicated to helping your business be successful. And I can't have enough episodes for you to understand that the picture of funding for your business comes into something in which you're going to have to work for it.
Yeah. And just a little insight, if it's not a loan and it is a grant, there are several cohorts. There are entrepreneur co-working spaces that have pitch competitions.
Yes.
Put yourself out there. Get those $2,500, $5,000 pitch money winner grant. Do that.
Absolutely. Because those are great exercises. You know what I'm saying? To help. That's a part of your strategy, getting that visibility. And I'm here to say that, you know, especially some of the pitch contests that I've been a part of, whether it be judging or whether it be in the service provider, you still got to have your numbers together.
Yeah.
Because the pitch involves you telling people, like, you want people to invest or to understand that you know what you're doing. So you can't escape your numbers.
Yep. Oh, that's good. Put that on a shirt. That's good.
Yeah.
And even if you lose, sometimes the goal isn't always to win those things. It's the exposure from them as well.
Exactly. Because every failure is an opportunity. You know, I mean, we know, we've probably seen where it says, you know, fail and fail fast, so that you can know, you know what, I'm not going to do that again. You know what I mean? Or you use and that's even a life lesson. You know what I mean? Live your life. And so when things don't go the way it's planned, you pick yourself up, you dust yourself off, you add that to your toolbox. And the next time that comes around, you're not a newbie anymore. You know what it looks like. You know what it feels like. You know what it feels like. And so therefore you have every ounce of energy and strength and knowledge that you need to overcome it.
Yep. Yeah.
And to apply it and to be successful about it.
And then to go help somebody else after you got it.
Now, because that's what it's really about.
Yep.
That's how you build a strong Black ecosystem of small business owners. Is you give, you fail, you accomplish, you win, and then you turn around, because it's a whole long line behind you.
And there is competition, but there's also unhealthy. And in our ecosystem, we can't afford for unhealthy competition. You helping someone else is not a detriment to your business.
Okay, then.
Okay?
That's a t-shirt.
That is. There's several t-shirts in this.
Just because, and I say it all the time. Just leave the door cracked.
I don't need you to make the way for me. I don't need you to make the way for me, but just make sure it's not locked. Okay,
right.
That's it.
And dead bolted. It got like 30 locks on the other side. You don't have to do all that.
Yeah,
it's like you can leave some room for other people, and quite frankly, that's how your blessings grow
For
exponentially.
sure.
If you're not selfish with the blessing that God gives you, you pass it along. And
Yeah.
that's how your blessings just and your abundance just it can never be depleted
And no
when
one's
you
going to do
operate.
business the way you do business. Let's be very clear. I actually just made
Mhm.
a post about how my crown is not going to fit your head. So we
Okay.
can be doing the same exact thing, I
Mhm.
promise you.
Mhm.
And they're going to love how you do it. And then
Mhm.
my audience is going to love how I do it.
Absolutely.
And but guess what? Both audiences are so grateful that we're both in business.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh my goodness. So y'all, oh my this first kickoff to the Black and Bankable CEO conversations, it's been fire for me. And I already know, like, once this episode is over with, I know that we're gonna be doing some magic. We're gonna, like I said, I'm 100% serious, Candace.
Yeah, me
When
too.
hey, you know you know where to find me anyway, right? And Nashville is just a hop and a skip down the road. That's all I need is a reason to come to Nashville, to come back to one of my favorite cities, and certainly to do this type of work, community empowerment, helping business owners. The Black and Bankable podcast, all of my businesses, we are on deck, ready to help audience members. I will be putting those links that Candace mentioned as far as her tools. They're going to be underneath the podcast description. But yeah, Candace, we this is just the beginning. This is
I'm honored.
literally just the beginning, and I'm honored. I'm honored to have you on the show. I'm honored that that we done grown up, honey. We doing
I
big things
know.
together outside of the Fisk University context, and I'm just on fire and so excited. So I truly appreciate you coming on to the show. Do you have any last thoughts that you want to share with the audience?
Just it's super lit to be financially free, and so make sure you do that for yourself. And then follow Citizens Bank 1904 on Instagram. You'll find me weaved in there, and then also you can find me just at Kandace Harris on LinkedIn as well. Do not be afraid to connect. Okay, I don't bite, but I do give it to you straight, which is what you need.
Yes.
Um,
Okay then.
but just very grateful to be on with you, Taliba, and thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Absolutely. Y'all, it is lit fire all that. Let's go, y'all. Let's go. Share this with your community, and let's help define what being Black and Bankable means to you. Let's make this go nationwide. Let's change lives. Thank you.